Mental capacity is simply the ability to make a decision. Capacity is assumed unless proven otherwise. So under the Mental Capacity Act, there's a two-stage test. And the first stage of that test is that you will ask, does that person that you think may not have capacity have an impairment or disturbance of the mind or brain in some way? If the answer to that is yes, they do have that, you then have to say, well, does that affect their ability to make a specific decision? And then you have to, if the answer to that is yes, you then have to run through a four-stage test to see whether they can make that decision or not. Does that person understand what the decision is about? And you don't want to ask the person closed questions, so you won't say, do you understand this? Or answer yes or no. You will ask them a little bit more about that. Can they actually retain the information long enough to be able to make a decision? And that's usually from the start of speaking to them to the end of your time with them. Can they actually weigh it up? So they're looking at the pros and cons, and quite often what I'll do with clients is I'll do what I call a balance sheet, and I'll have a piece of paper, and on one side will be the pros, one side will be the cons. Can they weigh up the pros and cons? And then finally, they need to be able to communicate their decision. Now, to you and me, communication would probably mean, can they speak? Are they verbal? Will they be able to speak to you and tell you what they want? But in fact, communication can be very, very different. So communication could be through, say, the blinking of an eye. And this has actually happened in a case that I dealt with years ago, where I was talking to a family and I was talking to a lady about power of attorney. And I had to say to her, could you blink once for yes and twice for no? And that's how I managed to get her to communicate. And then I was able to sign that document on her behalf, and it was accepted by the court.